Today you're going to start your project on the civil rights movement, and so today I want to just talk a little bit about the important events of the civil rights movement, a couple of those important events. First is Brown versus the Board of Education. And the important thing to take away from this is that remove the color barrier from public schools across the United States. If you click on this link here, I want you to click there and learn a little bit more about that important case. Next is the Montgomery bus boycott. And a boycott is where people refuse to use a service or good to make a point. So whether it's not buying something or not using something to try and make a point and get their point across. So you can click here to learn more about the Montgomery bus boycott and what happened in that situation. Next, we have some important sit-ins that occurred, and a sit-in involves one or more people occupying an area for protest, often to promote political, social, or economic change. So we see this a lot in the civil rights movement. Some really famous ones, you can click here to learn more about the SNCC and the Greensboro sit-ins. Next we have the Freedom Riders, and the Freedom Riders were civil rights advocates who rode interstate buses to the segregated United States in 1961 in order to challenge the non-enforcement of the Supreme Court decisions Morgan versus Virginia in 1946 and Boynton versus Virginia in 1960, which ruled that segregated public buses were unconstitutional. So you can learn more about those Freedom Riders by clicking on this link here. Next, the March on Washington. You can click this link here to hear watch the famous I Have a Dream speech. And there's also an interactive on the March on Washington that is very neat that you can click through to learn a little bit more about the March on Washington. Next is Jackie Robinson, who we talked a little bit about when we did the snapshots in February. But Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier by being the first African American to play Major League Baseball. So you can click there to learn a little bit more about Jackie Robinson. Next is the Nation of Islam, and you all learned a little bit more about that in our last activity. But this was an African American political and religious movement founded in Detroit, Michigan by Wallace D. Fard Muhammad, and its stated goals were to improve the spiritual, mental, social, and economic condition of African Americans in the United States and all of humanity. So you can click there to learn more about the Nation of Islam. The Birmingham church bombing occurred at the African American 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama on Sunday, September 15th, 1963, when 4 members of the Ku Klux Klan planted dynamite, which were attached to a timing device beneath the front steps of the church. You can click there to learn more about that. Next are some videos on each of the topics that you will use for your civil rights movement project. So I'm not going to play them, but here's the one on the Brown versus the Board of Education, the Montgomery bus boycott, the sit-ins, the Freedom Riders, the March on Washington, Nation of Islam, Jackie Robinson, the Birmingham church bombing. So this is the first part of your project, is to go through those links, read those short blurbs on the subjects, and watch these videos. I wanted you to have that basic information from that slideshow to get a better idea of 2 events or organizations that you want to investigate in detail. So that is the subject or the topic for your assignment, for your project. Is just choose 2 of those to really get into a lot of detail on. So you're going to provide a detailed overview and answer the questions following the topics somewhere in your presentation. You need to include at least 2 pictures with captions and 1 video clip related to your topic. Each of these topics will have at least 2 websites, and of course you can also use your book and World Online. Some of these you already did a little bit of research for in your last project, so you're more than welcome to use some of those sources as well. You should have a really good base knowledge for each of these topics. You can use any format you would like to use your project. Google Slides, Docs, PowerPoint, Prezi. If it's something that we haven't used before, just let me know. But any of those are fine. Include a works cited in your presentation with the resources that you used. And we will be presenting these in our live session. So once we're all done with these, we're going to all take a look at them together. So make sure that you do your best so that your classmates can learn a little bit more about a topic that they might not have chosen to review. So you'll see all of those topics that we talked about earlier here. And you can see that, again, there are the links there and then the questions that I want you to answer. So if you chose Jackie Robinson, you would give a brief description of Jackie Robinson and his important contributions to the civil rights movement, why he is included on this list, and then you would answer the questions that follow there. These bullet points, you would answer each of those. So again, you're going to choose 2 of those things. I wanted you to go over that PowerPoint that I talked about earlier so that you could get a general idea of all of the topics to help you better choose one that you're really interested in. Today is day 1 of your research, so you're going to, once you read through all of those different topics, choose your 2 topics. Today you're going to start your research on those 2 topics. You have 3 days to do this project. You're going to do 2 events, organizations, or people. So today should really be a heavy research day. Definitely choose your topics and start your research on at least one of them. Tomorrow should be a research day as well, getting the information you need together on probably that second event, organization, or person. And then the 3rd day of the project, really putting it together, making sure that you have all of the elements necessary, those pictures and videos, and make sure that you have everything together. If you have any questions, please let me know. Make sure that you take your time and that you use your time wisely today as the first day of research. If you need anything, please let me know. Good luck on this project.